Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida Extension Service here in beautiful, sunny, and oh so hot Hernando County. And joining me today is our county's Florida-friendly landscape coordinator, Colby Pitts. Good morning, Colby. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
And as always, our regular helper, Bernie, who is one of our Master Gardener volunteers. Good morning, Bernie. How you doing?
Good morning.
So for anybody, and I see we have at least two people on here now. Hopefully that'll grow and be a little bit more. If you guys have any lawn and garden questions, comments, anything, just go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll show them just like I'm doing down here right now. And we'll go ahead and do our very best to answer your questions because I think that's why we're here every Thursday morning is to answer people's questions. So please ask some questions, guys.
You know, Basim ought to be on here with us. I mean, he grows more plants, more different things than we do. So
I know.
I'm just amazed. The guy has got to be one busy fellow.
Well, we're just assuming that he follows through on all the different plants he asks about. So if you, and some of them are, I believe he lives in Seminole County, so he's kind of borderline, where they're going to do well. It's always worth a shot. I mean, if it's something that's more temperate, you could try putting it in a shadier spot, someplace where it's not going to get as much sun or heat this time of year. Good morning, Veronica. And, give it a shot at least. May not work out. A lot of times things don't, but worth a shot. So, hey, anybody get any unusual questions this past week?
No, it's been, it gets hot enough that people don't go outside and do much. So what's going to happen is the first week we get back into the 80s, they're going to come in carrying all these things that they should have asked about a month before, and it's going to be too late to really do much. The lawn season is going to be about over, and they're going to want to do things that they really should have started back in March. So,
yeah.
But that's always the way it goes. That's, human nature. Assuming that some of these people really are human.
I've been getting a lot of the same questions, a lot of the normal stuff, so many people putting down sod recently. I've said even more than normal. Something I have been hearing quite a lot are, people trying to save some money in a reseed bahia, right? The seed's going to be a little bit cheaper than the sod. But what I keep having to remind people is if you just throw that seed down, right, you throw it down and it rains every single day. And I'm not talking light rain, like it's going to rain. Where do you, if you're just sprinkling them on top without any extra work, a lot of those seeds they're just leaving. They're going to grow somewhere else. So it's kind of an important thing to remember, something that I don't think we've ever talked about on here is reseeding, or while I've been doing it anyway, is reseeding practices with bahia.
It's not easy.
It's one of those things that unless you're really young and have a tremendous amount of ability to go out and work in this stuff, you need to do little small areas and take an area maybe 10 by 20 and do a 10 by 20 this week, maybe start another area 10 by 20 next week. And over a season, you can put in quite a lawn. But if you want to replace the whole lawn, that's a lot of effort. Take everything back down to plain soil, rake it so you've got some places for the seeds to drop. Maybe roll it after you've raked it. And you got to keep it wet. That seed has absolutely no reserve. So, you're out there not actually watering the lawn, but just dampening the lawn 2 or 3 times a day until you get some seed activity. That is a lot of effort for somebody that's in their 60s, and they don't realize it. The sad part about it is when you're 40, you do all those things and you do them automatically. You become 60, and you still think you can do all those things, and that really isn't true. So uh, I would really like to see people do things in a basis that is within their physical capability, and they'll accomplish a lot more. It's the same way with the people that want to garden. If everybody wants to start out with a 50 by 100 garden, and what they really need to start with is an 8 by 10, and so and they learn that after a couple of years, and but boys, that first couple of years, you're killing yourself.
Yeah, I just shared a couple of links here about starting your lawn from seed. And I did get an email, and I spoke with the gentleman on the phone. He called here after that. He has lives in Hernando County and has a Bahia lawn and had some really thin spots in his front yard, and went to a company in the area and bought a bunch of Bahia seed and put the seed down, and none of it came up. He said that he bought two 50-pound bags of Bahia seed. I'm not sure if he put it all down. That's a lot of Bahia seed. That's an awful lot of Bahia seed, but he put a
Yeah.
lot down and said that none of it came up, and contacted the company. And of course, the company said, we'll contact, Extension, and had our contact information. They'll test it and they'll figure out why it didn't germinate. And I'm like, I have no magic test to give it. I looked at the pictures, and his bare spots, it looked like they were really compacted. So if you have really compacted, hard sand and you just throw seeds on top of it, it's not going to germinate really well. It's kind of like throwing grass seed on top of your sidewalk. It may germinate, but it's not going to root and it's not going to grow. And then I pointed out that you have to keep it moist. You don't have to run your sprinklers for an hour a couple times a day. That's wasting water. You probably have to go out there a couple times a day with a garden hose, just lightly keep the surface moist so it'll sprout and grow. Because if you don't, the seeds aren't going to sprout. Now, what impact putting 100 pounds of Bahia seed down in a lawn has, I don't know. Wasn't really
Well,
sure. So,
the thing about Bahia seed is the germination rate is terrible to begin with.
yep,
If you ever let it dry out, it dies.
yep,
So you have to keep it moist, and it has a short lifetime. So if you buy 6-month-old Bahia seed and don't really make an effort, don't put little furrows in the yard to hold it in place, and don't keep it damp, you don't get much. It's the university publication on how to establish a lawn is really a pretty darn good publication. And like I say, it depends on the age of the people that are doing it as to what my recommendation is. But my recommendation is, if you're 60 years old, do a small patch. If you're 20 years old, go for it.
yeah. And I mean, you could try filling in and thickening up your lawn in sections. Go to one little area. If there's a lot of debris and dead grass and this and that, go ahead and rake it out. If you throw down some topsoil, bag of compost, so that when the seed does germinate, it has something to grow into, that's going to help. Sometimes people will get the idea of, if I take my lawnmower and just set it on the lowest setting and cut an area, I can either reseed it, or I could put in like perennial peanut or something like that. And because I cut the grass real short and I really don't see a whole lot there right now, if I put in perennial peanut, it'll do just great. It'll grow. Your perennial peanut will grow. Your ground cover will grow. But all the grass and weeds that were there that you just cut down to the nub are going to grow back also. And now you end up with a huge mishmash.
Well, another thing is, if you're doing a Bahia lawn, the absolute most important thing before you start is to do a soil test. If
Yep.
you have a soil test that shows a 7.7 pH, you're going to have a terrible, terrible time ever establishing a Bahia lawn, and it's not going to do well. So, you know, do it at least once. Everybody should have a soil test at least once. pH isn't going to change much over a long period of time, and it gives you a starting point. Uh, and how effective does it reseed itself? Well, the amazing thing there is, if you think of it as Bahia is a pasture grass, it's looking for a cow to come by. And when the cow comes by and munches the top off of the grass immediately goes, oh my God, I've been chewed on. I need to do something to protect myself. And it puts up a seed head. And the seed head has 100 seeds. And it dumps that 100 seeds and it hopes to get one plant to replace the one that got damaged when the cow came by. So as far as using the seed heads to establish a lawn, that isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
The seed heads are important to maintain the lawn because Bahia, each one of those little plants is an individual plant. If it dies, you lose an individual plant. Well, just a given, and if you allow the seed heads to go to seed once in a while, you replace the few that you lose. But the seed heads do not establish a Bahia lawn. They only maintain a Bahia lawn. So
exactly, it'll help to thicken it up a little bit every summer.
Yes, if you keep the seed heads mowed down, you really need to distribute a little Bahia seed a couple of times a year to make up for it. So, Bahia is a wonderful lawn in that it requires almost no maintenance, but it requires no maintenance in a particular way. And if you keep it mowed continuously, that's not good maintenance for a Bahia lawn. And it works wonders on the county roads. They go out, they plant, or they sod Bahia. A month later, they come by and mow it. It goes to seed. The seeds have an opportunity to germinate. And a month later, they come by and mow it again. And it maintains itself pretty well. Well, a lot of people don't want their yard only mowed 4 or 5 times a year. So I do. I
have neighbors like that. They cut their lawn 3 times a year religiously.
Yeah. So, it depends. If you're in a homeowners association and you have to keep it mowed, you've got to do a lot more to make up for it. If you're a homeowner someplace out in the country, don't get excited when it's got some seed heads showing. Let them go. When those little black things fall off of the V's, it's time to mow. So.
And every one that sprouts and grows is just a little bit more in your lawn to help keep it a little bit thicker.
Right. I love Bahia. I am one of the laziest people on earth, so it's great for me.
It's fine with me.
The St. Augustine gets a bad rap, but there is a new variety of St. Augustine that our ag agent keeps swearing is one of the most wonderful things that has happened in grass in years, and that's a Citra Blue. So I'd really like to get somebody in the area here to put in a lawn of Citra Blue so we can see how well it does. The last time we tried this was with Zoysia, and we talked a builder into putting Zoysia in on a new house that he put up, and it lasted for almost a month before it turned brown and totally died. This has been a great time for you, hasn't it, Colby? Your rain barrels have just gotten a heck of a workout, and that is a really good thing for anybody that's doing any gardening at all.
For sure, it's been it's been a really great time. I mean, I'm sure we haven't we haven't been shy about singing the praises of rain barrels and how good they are. It's really it's a really great program that the county puts on. I do think when you're using that rainwater is going to be a little bit of a lower pH than the water that's going to come out of your the side of your house or your irrigation system or what have you. So it's kind of important to remember this isn't just a cost saving measure. That there are other benefits to using a rain barrel. I've heard actually recently we in my classes I've heard people say, oh, I've gotten my money's worth out of this rain barrel because it's constantly full, and I just like to hear that because it shows that the behavior change that we're trying to get by getting people these rain barrels is really working.
What rainwater, if you have house plants, really slows down the amount of soil buildup or salt buildup in the pot. So you have to repot the plants on a much less frequent schedule if you're using rainwater. And I am a firm believer in that house plants should be watered with rainwater, period, if it's available. It's low pH and very low salt content. So you can't ask for much better.
Just don't drink it. We always get that question.
Yeah, well,
especially during hurricane season. So
yeah.
you go out and buy water. Don't be drinking out of your rain barrel.
A lot of little bacteria. It's kind of an interesting thing. I take a glass of water and just sit it on the counter and let it sit there for 3 or 4 days. And these little things start growing in it that I use to feed some of the bigger things that I've been growing back in the lab. So, it is amazing what's in there, and it's very enjoyable if you've got a microscope. I would not want to drink any of that water from the rain barrels or for most of the polluted streams around here. You take any of this water and put it on a microscope slide, there's too much motion in there.
Oh, yeah. If you take a drop of pond water, there's a million living things in it, all kinds of stuff.
Well, what I like to ask people is, well, when was the last time you sanitized your gutters? And then every time someone asks me, I said, well, how clean are your gutters? And they're like, well, I'm like, well, there you go. Would you drink out of your gutters? Because I wouldn't drink out of my gutters, and mine are pretty clean, So just kind of something to consider that where that water is running over all this stuff and it's picking up everything it runs over, whether that be bacteria, sediment, what have you. So yes, do not drink your rain barrel water.
So talking about Citra Blue, Bill says his neighbors have Citra Blue, but they don't take care of it as well as they should. I think they expect that they would hardly ever need to turn on their irrigation system. Yeah, I'm not sure how drought tolerant Citra Blue is, but during dry periods, it's still going to need some irrigation.
And there again, it's still a 4-inch high mowing St. Augustine. It's not one of the short St. Augustines. So for good root structure, it needs to be mowed high. So
yeah, there are some dwarf varieties of St. Augustine Raleigh, I think, and a few others.
2 inches. Palmetto, 2 inches. But unless you have those, it is a problem.
Hey, look who's here. It's Lily. Good morning, Lily.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Were you at the fair this morning?
I was there. I was there because I was told to be, but it's not open yet, and I couldn't even. The building I was trying to get to was locked, and so.
Were you there to help judge the Scrapple contest?
Yes, that's exactly what I was doing. Yes. I was there to represent the master gardeners, but apparently they don't want representation until noon. But that's not what I was told. There he is.
Good morning, Lily. How are you? I did the classical sitcom entrance here.
Yes, you did.
Yes. So how are you? How's everything up at Penn State?
Penn State was fine. I went
They got
to
nice
the.
shirts.
Yeah, I had a beautiful drive this morning in our beautiful county to the fairgrounds where I was going to sit this morning, but nothing's happening and the building's locked. So in my frustration, I wasn't going to come on until I got a text that's saying somebody else was going to crash it. So
Exactly. Well, I saw Bernie, and Bernie imparts a lot of wisdom, and I was going to be here to correct some of Bernie's wisdom that he may not get correct. So
Bernie does impart an incredible amount of wisdom.
Bernie has been a loyal, dedicated volunteer for quite some time, and he has been an asset to this office just as much as most of our extension agents and staff in the office. So he may be a volunteer, but he is very, very loved in the office.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
It must be suck up to Bernie Day, but it is true.
So Stacy, we have a question that you could probably answer here.
Yes.
So what have you heard about Pro Vista St. Augustine?
So I have dealt with Pro Vista for quite some time. So we, in Osceola County, we had lots and lots of sod farms. And one of the ones that we were growing was Pro Vista. And Pro Vista is a Scott's product. And it was primarily the driver of having Pro Vista was that we can spray Roundup over the top of it and not hurt it. And we actually did, we have experimented with it with differing rates of Roundup. And I mean, you really have to, you could almost pour straight Roundup on Pro Vista, and it actually is okay. So that is the good thing about Pro Vista. With every good thing that I say, I'm going to say something bad. And here's the bad thing about Pro Vista. It really gets take all root rot really bad. And because it is a dwarf St. Augustine, so it's not growing a whole lot, it really can't outgrow this disease. So Pro Vista, the good side is that we can spray Roundup over the top. The bad side, with as much take all root rot as we have in Hernando County, it may not be there to spray Roundup over the top of it. So that's the good and bad of Pro Vista, Bill.
Yeah, our county has used Floratam so heavily that the entire county at this point is just one big pot of take all root rot fungus. And any plant or any of the grasses that are susceptible to take all have a really, really tough time, and it's a real difficult problem. So if you know the grass is susceptible, you should plant something different here.
And the disease is so prevalent.
Everywhere. So another thing, we've actually we did a lot of turf grass research in Osceola County, and one of the big things that we saw was that of course Pro Vista will get take all. Bahia will even yellow from take all root rot. So Bahia is not immune to it, but Bahia will outgrow it. So when we see that Bahia grass and it turns yellow, and we spray a little iron on it, it greens back up. What we're actually seeing is it can be that take all, and it's not going to kill the Bahia grass, but we're able to see that yellow symptomology on that Bahia. So one thing while we're on that subject of take all, Citra Blue, I've known it since it was a kid. I've known it since it was a number. And I really love that particular St. Augustine. That's the one that I have growing at my house. I brought it to my house while it was still a number, and it loves shade, it loves sun. It laughs at take all root rot when you see it. It will get chinch bugs, so that is the good and bad of chinch the Citra Blue, but the shade tolerance of Citra Blue is one thing that we haven't really talked a lot about. But my daughter has a trampoline out in our yard, much to the chagrin of our insurance company, which we won't. Hopefully, insurance people aren't watching. But it is growing underneath her trampoline, that is underneath an oak tree. So to give you the level of shade that it is tolerating, it is tolerating growing underneath the trampoline underneath an oak tree. So the shade tolerance of Citra Blue, I would say, is excellent.
But you have fairly decent soil as compared to somebody out in Weeki Wachee or Spring Hill, because you are on the river further inland.
Yes.
You think that makes a difference?
It could. And another bad thing, of course, I tell you the good and the bad.
Mhm.
I'll tell you the same about Lily if you want me to. But the Citra Blue is also where you have really good soil, it becomes very thatchy. And it is almost, when it becomes so thatchy, it is almost sponge-like when you're walking on it, especially when you have really good soils. So good soils are good sometimes, but we have to know that we have to deep thatch that, and it will become spongy. It is hard to walk in it. It's so spongy.
And Bernie, why don't you tell us the process of dethatching? I know that's a major thing.
It's a neat process. Verticutting is
Hey
one
guys,
of those
good
things.
seeing you.
Thank you. Makes a mess.
He may be crazy, but he's not stupid. He is.
No, that is quite true. Yes.
Yeah, the verticutting the lawn is like mowing it with the blades turned 90 degrees to a regular mower. You go through, you cut all the runners, and it gets rid of all the things that are cross growing. What is amazing is that you take a reasonably small front yard, you do a verticut, and you haul off a full dump truck of clippings. So it makes a terrible mess initially. It looks really bad for a little while, and there's a lot to get rid of. But you can rent a machine. You can do it. You can get some of these big bags, stuff all the cuttings down in the big bags.
We have some services that do it also. They have the equipment and they'll do it for you.
But it's generally not needed in Spring Hill and with a
Well, that's not true.
Floratam lawn.
If you use Floratam and you fertilize heavy, it develops the same problem. It's real common to have spongy Floratam, and when it gets to that point, the only real cure is to verticut it. What normally happens is people ignore it. It develops a disease because it is not a healthy situation. The whole lawn gets wiped out, and they resod, and they never really understand it. Had they done the verticut and kept maintaining the lawn, it would go forever.
Once you understand thatch is, like a thatch roof, but it starts growing all into each other and there's no real roots getting into the ground. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, a lot of people think that thatch is the cuttings laying on the ground. The cuttings, the clippings from your mower don't really hurt anything unless they're so piled up that they're
shades it out. Yeah.
Shades it out. Yeah. But the verticut lawn, that just starts over. You take the lawn, after about 10 years on St. Augustine, it probably needs to be verticut. And if you do it, and in effect, you have just totally replaced the lawn. You're starting from scratch again, and recovers really quick. St. Augustine, by the way, moves at a rate of about 18 inches a growing season in Hernando County. So if you produce 6-inch cuts, 6-inch rows from the verticutting, when you give it a little time, in 3 months, it's grown to 6 inches, filled back in, everything looks great. And the lawn at that point is basically starting over. You just put in a fresh lawn. All those plants that you're seeing are almost all new plants at that point.
You want to know something interesting? In the Penn State Facebook page that I help moderate here, what I keep seeing pop up occasionally is I need help with this St. Augustine in my lawn. I need to get rid of it. It's a weed up here.
And I know that you have grasses up north that people will, verticut or use the dethatching machines on. I also know up north people, because of where they live and the soils they have, are just in the habit of liming every fall.
And I asked some master gardeners here because I saw a feed store saying, whatever time it was, it's time to lime, it's spring. And so I asked them, is that 100% true? Do I have to lime? Because, my yard is the same here as it was in Florida. It's green and mowable. I mean, in the spring, it's pretty yellow. Beautiful dandelions everywhere. But they said, no, you don't have to, I guess, same as always, get a soil test. And your extension office here has soil test kits that look exactly like the ones you have there.
A lot of the northern soils, the pH is in the 5s. And if you're trying to grow alfalfa, and alfalfa, I think, is once a 6.5 or a 7 pH. The only way to make the alfalfa really happy is to lime it. And the big reason you lime it is you get more money for it when you sell it. You develop more plant and more healthy plant, and it's worth more money. So as far as, do I have to lime? No, you don't. But there are situations, certain plants, it increases the yield if you're a farmer. And it's
right. Well, we're talking about lawns. They get in their minds, they've been taught they have to sweeten the soil.
Some of the grasses, and it's the same here. If you want a Bahia lawn in Florida and you put down lime, you've just decreased the ability of the Bahia to survive. And most of the warm season grasses prefer an acid pH. So that means that for the most part, our grasses don't get limed at all.
In Florida, yeah. But here, it's also not an absolute necessity. And I don't even know what kind of grass I have here. I haven't progressed that far to know. It's a fescue, some kind. I don't know.
Well, the thing up north is you go to the store, you buy a box that says grass seed.
Yeah.
You throw it on the ground, and it just magically turns into a lawn. That doesn't happen in Florida. That we don't have the temperature, we don't have the soil that they have up north. On the other hand, you don't go to the local store up north and buy a box of palm seeds and throw them on the ground and have palm trees either. So
you do that in Florida?
Pretty much. I think that's the way people treat most of these palms, as if they could buy them out of a box, because they take like a Bismarck palm and grow it in northern Sumter County, and it just isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I have a couple of Bismarcks in my neighborhood, and they all do really well. And one of them flowered, and they have a really unusual large bracket with large seeds on Bismarcks. So I
Bismarcks get huge, don't they? Don't Bismarcks get like really huge?
Yeah, they're big palm. And the thing about it is you may get by with it for 15, 20 years, but it's not going to survive long term.
One day.
Yeah. And the same way with queen palms. One day your queen palm is going to get zapped.
Yeah. As I was driving back from the fairgrounds, it's an extremely rural area. I mean, I did pass an Amish cart, it's very, very rural, but so it's just fields and fields, but at a driveway, it was just tall weeds they've let grow, maybe some kind of wild sumac or something growing, but it didn't have any leaves until like near the top. So my mind, seeing it from afar, I'm just driving, you know what my mind told me? Palm trees. And then I realized, no, they're not palm trees. Just the same, I expect around all these bends and all these fields, my mind tells me one of these bends, I'm going to come to an orange grove. No,
know,
I'm not.
the thing about it is the Florida Friendly program, the absolute number one thing, it starts out right plant, right place. And
Yep. They say that here too.
I mean,
They just,
that's so true. And
yeah.
if you don't do the research to find out what the right plant is, you can spend a lot of money buying a lot of wrong plants. And nobody knows that better than I did, because that was, look at Bernie spend all that money and look at all those plants die. I bought all the tropicals because I thought Florida was tropical and those plants were beautiful. And if I had been in Miami, those were all great plants. I didn't know that they would even sell plants here in Brooksville that shouldn't be planted in Brooksville. But you can go up in Panama City or someplace, Tallahassee, and buy plants that shouldn't be planted north of Miami. So
8 days a week.
Yep, absolutely. Well, they tried it. They plant tropicals here too, but they know that they're almost annuals. They bring them in, or they'll bring them down to their cellar, or they'll cut them down, you know. But everyone wants what they can't have, and so they want a beachy look here. So they try to get the tropicals. One of the questions on that Penn State site, and I thought she was asking from, because she said, "I'm in Myrtle Beach. I want to try a live oak," which is what is pictured behind Colby there. So I answered her that, you might want to get hold of Clemson and your county extension office, to find out about growing live oaks. And she answered, "Oh, I meant I'm on vacation in Myrtle Beach. I live in Philadelphia. And I just want to try it as an experiment." And I gave her the idea of a pin oak or a white oak will have the same, I assume she's looking for the low branching structure of the live oaks that she's falling in love with in South Carolina on vacation. I said, that'll give you the same type of look. Won't have Spanish moss, but it'll give, and she's like, still insisting she wants to try it. And I was like, well, you can try it in a small area, but first of all, I told her you need a lot of room, no matter where you are, for a live oak. But I said, experiment if you want to, and who knows what climate change will do, but you'll be better off for the environment to put in an oak that is used to your area, more or less, that each oak is going to provide some benefit for about like 400 different types of wildlife. So stick with what the wildlife knows, because the wildlife hasn't quite caught up to, how things are changing, evolving yet.
Is a beautiful tree. I would love to have a pin oak here, but I don't think that there is one in the county, and I've been curious to see if it's going to survive. One of our northern clients bought one, brought it down, and planted it. And it's gone a couple of years, so it survived 2 years so far. But I think that the growth last year was not very good, so may not make it another year. But it is a beautiful tree if it survives. I had
Maybe I can hook them up with the lady I was talking to, and when her live oak starts to die and her pin oak starts to die, they can meet in Myrtle Beach and trade them.
Yeah, here's a diagram of where live oaks will grow, and you're a little bit outside.
Well, here we're way
I had no idea how
She's
far
in
north it would grow.
Philadelphia. She's in Philadelphia, maybe.
Let's push it in there.
Yeah, but yeah, I told her don't spend a lot of money.
all the way up to San Francisco or to Seattle. That's amazing that they grow all the way up along that west coast. Shows you what the ocean will do for you.
Now, something that we have growing here, and we have a huge one at our master gardener nursery property. Let me find some information on here. It's called chestnut oak or swamp chestnut oak,
Mhm.
and they are huge. They are huge trees. The one that we
And
have the nursery property in the back is huge. I had to go help look
And
at,
swampy.
yeah, we had to go help look at an area. They are expanding animal control, which is right next door to the Master Gardener Nursery. And they're thinking about putting in a little access road. So we had to go look at some of the trees they have back there. And there are a couple other huge chestnut oaks. So there's a number of them in that whole wooded area, just the general wooded area there, which is very wet, very heavy soil. Um, but they are beautiful trees. Here, let me pull up a picture of one because they have really large leaves. And of course,
they have beautiful large oak or large acorns. They one of the biggest
Yes.
acorns.
Yeah,
And
a classic type acorn that you would see like a kid draw. Yeah. Or
again, they
that
have
shape.
very large leaves. Wow, can live up to 200 years. Height up to 100 feet. That's pretty big. They don't have the low hanging branches like a live oak does. They're more, I guess, upright. Uh, but they're beautiful. Yeah, you're still outside of the area for them also.
Oh
And you
yeah, we
they
know,
have
they
all sorts of
will
oaks
grow
that
in
we
our
technically
grow.
we're
county.
too far south.
I
Yeah.
have grown a couple of them and been very successful. I have one right now. It's about 15 feet. Uh, I think they're beautiful trees.
Yeah.
That's of the oak family. If you want something that is really a specimen, that's probably the best choice. It outlives the laurel oaks by a factor of five, and a live oak really isn't going to look beautiful in your lifetime. Live oaks need 100 years or so to really start looking good, and I
And
don't
a
plan
lot
on
of room. A
and I
lot
don't
of
plan on
room.
doing that. 100 years is too long. So
The cool thing that live oaks do is once they're 100 and some years old and they know that their life is ending, almost like a century plant. That's why those branches are so low growing. They're reaching for the ground because some of
Yeah.
those branches are going to go in the ground and start new babies, not just from their acorns from the seeds, but vegetatively like that. And if they get, a new baby growing, then the tree's like, okay, I can die now. It's pretty typical. Your kids will kill you, but that is, but that is a cool thing that they do if they have the room, the time, to live their full life. That 200 years, even for that chestnut oak, that's a left alone chestnut oak way out, either maybe in a field if it started to grow when the field was already a field, or somewhere undisturbed out in the woods. Urban trees don't have the lifespan that we
Yeah.
have come to think oak trees should have.
Well, here, I don't know if I've ever seen one in somebody's landscape, but they are present in wooded areas. So, obviously the slightly wet area between the nursery and animal control is pretty appropriate for them. And it's funny because here in Hernando County, you can go to Spring Hill and see the trees there, turkey oaks and pines. That's pretty much it. You go to Brooksville and you see this huge variety of other trees, more sweet gums and different oaks because it's totally different soil.
It's a hammock. An oak hammock is compared to the, what is it, pine woods, upland.
Pine
Yeah.
sandhill.
Yes.
It is a sandhill there.
Mm-hmm. It was the Gulf at one point in geographic history, probably like to Sunshine Grove Road was the Gulf. So,
Gold's been a whole lot higher. It's been a whole lot lower over the
mhm.
eons, I guess. So we
To,
actually have a question here, guys. Look,
yeah,
Ann says she's been clearing out her raised beds a little at a time. That's good. I actually this year kept my garden fairly clear and went out there and spent hours about a week or two ago, and it's not covered with waist deep weeds for once this time of year. So she's wondering, should she still grow a cover crop? More work, but nitrogen producing, just too hot right now for veggies.
It's too
You're
hot for
correct. A
life
little
right
hot.
now. Yes.
Although you should be thinking about fall and getting prepared for fall, maybe even starting seeds indoors or in little pots to go in the garden this fall, but not a whole lot you could be growing in the garden right now because it's too hot.
yeah. I think probably adding some compost would be a good thing. As far as a cover crop, you're not going to really add enough nitrogen to do much good in a vegetable garden. Vegetable garden requires generally more nitrogen than just a lawn or something like that. So um, clean them out, get rid of the vegetation that is basically going to be weeds. Put in some uh, compost, which has everything you need. Use a little fertilizer when you start growing, and 2 months.
When should she
It's going to
put
be
the plants out in the garden? Like,
about 2 months. So it's gonna be time, and 2 months will go pretty fast. So
yeah, but she can start the seedlings and stuff
start
now or
seeds
by
now.
Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would say the end of this month would be the perfect time to start tomatoes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and even most of the cool season crops, they say that you can start them September 1st. Here in Central Florida,
Mhm.
I think that's still a little bit too hot. I try to
That's
wait until
starting
first
from
of
seed.
October.
That's not buying transplants and putting them out in your garden. That's starting from
Correct. That's
seed.
from
Right,
seed.
you know.
Yeah.
But I found, and I'm sharing a publication on cover crops and the different cover crops that you can grow here in Florida. Some of them grow during the summer, other ones grow during the winter. If you're going to grow cover crop in your garden over the summer, usually a good idea to start earlier, late June, by the time your spring garden is kind of done and pulled up. And that way, whatever cover crop you're growing can grow over the summer. Chop it up, chop it down, turn it under, let it break down, and then it adds organic matter. I haven't tried growing a cover crop in years and years.
Yeah.
We have some that do really well here. Cowpeas,
I was
which
thinking
black
that.
eyed peas and other types of peas, they deter nematodes. And if you get a test and you know what species of nematode you have, you could pick a variety of cowpeas that deters that species of nematode. So you can
That's
actually line them up and help reduce the number of nematodes. They never go away, but you can reduce them.
If you really want something just for organic material, use flowers. So, this would be a great time to put some color out and just fill
yes,
the
yeah.
beds with flowers, and don't count on it as being a nitrogen source, but as some organic material. Mushroom compost is excellent.
Yep.
Yep.
Compost is always good. And you could always check with your county to see if they have a program where they make compost and either give it to county residents for free or sell it at a nominal price. Not every county does it. Here in Hernando, we do now. We do that now. So.
And then that was years in the making. And a lot
Yeah,
of work.
well, that took a long time.
It did. It was always 2 years away for like 10 years. And
Yep,
then
yep.
I guess it took.
Almost
It
done.
took,
Almost
it took,
ready.
it took It took me leaving. It took Carmen leaving to make it happen, I guess. I'm glad. Yeah, you can go up to the Hernando County landfill up in North 98 and tell them you'd like a truckload full of compost, and you can get it.
You can get a truckload,
bucket, you can get a pickup truck, you can get a dump truck,
trailer. Yeah, you can get as much as you want right now. I do think, if you're planning on taking advantage of that program, you should do it soon. Because I do believe that, like, as a cost offsetting measure, they're going to end up charging for it.
Yeah, and that probably still won't be much. What if you have just your raised beds and you only want, a few bags of it? Can you still do that?
Well, you can. So what they tell you now is that I've heard of people going with 5-gallon buckets. They go with like Rubbermaid containers, and it is free. All of it's free right now. I'm just saying, if you're planning on taking advantage of it while it's free, you should do that soon.
Right, but you have to go up to the main landfill at North 98. You're not going to get it on Osawa or out in Ridge Manor at their transfer stations.
If you go there, you just say, "Hey, I'd like some compost," and they'll direct you to the back when to do it. That's Monday through Saturday, and I think on before 3 is when they tell you.
If you want a truckload, do they load it for you?
Yes, they'll load a truckload. I don't think they'll load your 5-gallon buckets or anything.
Right. Yeah.
You get the skid steer. I also, Leanna told me this. Pro tip: don't go between 12 and 1, or you may be waiting because everybody's on.
They're lunch.
I guess they have to eat too. Yeah. Keep up their energy to load your trucks. And it's hot. It's hot then too. Go early in the morning.
Yeah. First thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a really great service. We don't have anything like that here. I'm sure I know there are landfills, but they're not open to the residents. You have to have someone, with a license come get your stuff and take it there. So you got a really good deal with the assessment on your taxes, so that you can go anytime that you want to, up to you can bring literally a ton every year, and you have already paid that on your tax assessment. So it's a good deal for Hernando County people.
Although I think here they made some changes to trash service. They're going with a different company. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I should mention this or not, but they're going to start charging for people who like to take their garbage to the landfill or transfer station Saturday morning on their own. They're going to charge you for it.
Got you there. Well,
I mean,
if you have the ability to have trash service, or if you're in the mandatory zone,
they can count for everybody. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I've actually, every time I've went, and this is not, I'm not speaking as a county employee because I actually don't know how this part works, but as a, I've only ever went a couple times. They asked me my address, like carrying trailer loads of it's mostly yard debris, but I've taken actual trash before, recycling and stuff, and I've never paid anything. But I know that when I lived in Sumter County, you just paid for it. Like, that's just how it was. You went in there, they were like, "Oh yeah, how many bags you got? How many cans you got?" And you paid them. I don't know. It was always relatively inexpensive. I remember. So I'm not aware. I didn't know that we were gonna. I don't know how that works. You should read the. I do know that all that stuff they're meeting on it. It's in the county commissioner meetings. Pretty much every week there's something about the trash service and stuff that's changing. I do wonder if we're gonna get new trash cans.
Well, if you have a new service, all those trash cans belong to Republic.
The county.
I was under the impression they belonged to the county.
They do.
It is the county, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that question came up and they said, no, we're not getting new cans. But mine has a crack in the lid, and when it rains a lot, I get water in the can. I don't like that.
Well, call them.
You do know someone who can get you.
Yes, 1-800-CALL-LEANNA. She can help you with that.
I had and I actually went through the official channel and got in my last house. I had the what is it? I was a renter, so it wasn't my trash can, my property, but I had the whatever, like the
96 gallon. one?
Well, it's the real big blue trash can.
I think that's 96 gallons, isn't it?
Yes,
Or,
it
yeah.
sounds about right. So the hinge broke, and I called Republic, and I had a new trash can in like, I don't know, a week maybe. It was like a week or less, and they brought me a new trash can. And that was me calling, not me calling, hey, this is Colby with Utilities. Can I get a new trash can? It was me going through Republic. So I mean, my experience, it was fine.
Also, we don't have, at least in my borough, there's some boroughs do have it close to me. We don't have curbside recycling. So, I have to take the recycling somewhere. I was taking it to the next borough over, who happens to have curbside recycling, but they also have a recycling center.
What do you do? You put it in front of somebody's house? Some stranger's house?
No. That recycling center is run 100% by volunteers, and they are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 11.
Wow.
So therefore, it's very difficult for the working people here to still be able to recycle. Now that I am working here at the Armstrong County Extension Office, do you want to know what I'm looking at through my window right next to us? Another recycling center that's open normal hours. So it's extremely easy. I come here on my way to work and drop off my recycling. But in general, for the everyday person, it's not as easy here as it is for you in Hernando County.
Yeah. I was actually surprised when I moved here how many people take advantage of the recycling. I'm Sumter County. We did not have any type of it. I don't even know what I would want to do if I wanted to recycle something. Probably drive far away. I don't know. Drive to Lake County, more like. Yeah. But
dump it in the villages.
Well, that's like sacrilege. I'm not being from the South End, but anyways.
I know. I was very proud of myself for like years. I never set toe in the villages. I would brag about that, but it happens. Now sometimes it just happens. You realize, oh no, I'm here.
Yeah, you look up, you see a bunch of dark green, and you're like, oh man, this wasn't the villages last week, but nowadays,
right? Yes. And so when I stay in the park in Bushnell, where we have a little place, I eventually broke down. I'm like, I'm bored. There's stuff to do there.
I mean, there's places that I rode 4-wheelers as a kid, that I went bass fishing as a kid, that now are subdivisions, and it's kind of crazy. It's really, I try not to ever go north of Bushnell if I can help it. But sometimes, it just
sometimes you can't get. It's very slow going. Trying to go north of Bushnell, either on 75 or on 301 or 471. There in the winter, it's very slow going.
Every day that I don't have to get on I-75 is a good day for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I hope no one's listening from the villages.
Any last minute questions? Go ahead and put them in the comments. We'll squeeze them in today.
We had some very good questions today.
We did.
We always do.
What I was concerned about way back when Stacy popped on, when he's talking about what was the name of that new grass?
Citra Blue?
No, the other
Pro Vista.
Oh,
Pro Vista.
Pro Vista. And he said its biggest thing is it can't grow tall enough to outgrow take all root rot, but he's talking about how you can spray Roundup all over it and it doesn't hurt it. What my mind is thinking is, what if it becomes an invasive plant and starts taking over, and then Roundup doesn't kill it?
Well, Roundup.
Yeah, I know that problem a lot.
Yeah, they're probably putting triclopyr or something like that on it.
Yeah, there are probably 20 different grass killers available to farmers, just because of that problem, that things are no longer susceptible to Roundup. There's a lot of plants that have lost their susceptibility to Roundup. So soybeans have a gene to protect them from Roundup. So they plant Roundup ready soybeans. They can go in and spray Roundup and keep the fields clean. Well, there's some of the weeds now that doesn't work on. So,
Right.
but they have 6 other products that they can spray on the beans that will kill those weeds. So they've got a tank mix that has Roundup and 4 or 5 other things. Milestone is a real big weed killer for pastures, and there's a lot of chemicals. And just because it's tolerant of one doesn't make it tolerant of others.
But the reason why they feel that's good is glyphosate being a total vegetation killer, except for that Provista, obviously. That means grassy weeds, broadleaf weeds, whatever happens to be in there, it's going to get that and not your preferred lawn. So,
assuming you follow your temperature recommendations,
yes,
for St. Augustine.
If you do it, in August at 2:00 in the afternoon, you might as well take a fire torch out there.
You got about a 2-week window that you can spray Roundup on St. Augustine.
Yes. But remember, that is just that Provista. Don't go out and try it on your Floritan.
That also applies to these weed and feeds. We have clients every once in a while that'll bring in a picture of their lawn 100% dead because they used weed and feed in the middle of August. If the temperature's above 85 degrees, don't be putting down anything that's going to kill the weeds. It's the grass can metabolize up to a certain temperature, and after that it dies just like everything else. So weed and feed is the most dangerous product out there, and it normally doesn't do you all that much good. So,
and 85 that's such a window where you are in Central Florida of when isn't it going to reach 85 at some point during the day.
In the winter.
Remember
January and February would be about it.
On those herbicides, all that stuff is very explicitly explained on the label. Like the labels are super, like legally, they must be super, super detailed. So if you're curious, if you want to spray something, if you read the label, most of the time it'll convince you not to do it. But
not everybody reads that label.
Read the label.
And they're the ones
that is literally how I deal with most chemicals. Like, that sounds too hard. I'm just not doing it.
So people call me and something died because of something they sprayed on it. And as I'm holding the phone in one hand, I'm typing up the product label with the other hand, and I'm reading through it. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have sprayed it on that plant. That's right on the label here. Or, oh, there's a temperature restriction and it's way hotter than what you're supposed to use it. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a Roundup product that has imazapyr in it. It's a grass killer, and imazapyr is a soil active herbicide, right? So it's gonna stay active in the soil for like 90 days, I think, is the half life. So if you spray something there, nothing's gonna grow in that area for 90 days. That's just how it is.
I need to get that for my rocks. I have a rock area around the house.
Yeah. There's I think that one is Roundup Grass and Weed Killer. It's the one that comes in the bigger bottle. It's not a concentrate. And I had someone call and was like, hey, I did this. I followed all these rules. And after I got all the weeds out, and I was like, what'd you use to get the weeds out? And sure enough, I was like, well, I used Roundup Grass Killer. And then I was like, it's got imazapyr in it. So like really knowing that there's like 3 or 4 that you may want to familiarize yourself with because they're in a lot of stuff. So like, triclopyr, glyphosate, imazapyr. Like you learn those, and then you can see, oh, well, this is what this one does. I want to avoid this product because there's 8 or 9 different Roundups that they're going to sell that are all different formulations, different active ingredients. And those active ingredients.
Roundup is a brand name. Used to be Roundup equal glyphosate. That's it. Now
Roundup has
a brand name, and it can mean many things.
Yeah. And you can buy Roundup that has no glyphosate in it. That they have Roundup that's absolutely not that's closer to other things. And the reason is when they first trademarked the chemical, right? It'll stay that way for a certain number of years, and then everybody can use it. So now you can buy.
Patent runs out. It is not worth them paying. They have to defend it in court and pay a big price to keep that patent. So usually they have moved on to something else, and they're like, fine, let everybody else have it. I don't care. I've moved on. That's what happens.
Same thing with Image. That used to be a Sedge product, and now
and there's 50 different images.
There's 27 different images,
Yeah.
You have to know what you're killing.
Know what your goal is. Do you want to spray it and have nothing grow there for a long time? Do you want to spray it, kill the weeds, and be able to replant 2 weeks later? Figure out what your goal is and then match your product to align with that.
Yeah.
And yes, Bill, it's always confusing. And
Yes,
to make it worse,
I
every
don't-
spring they come
I
out
don't
with
deal with it.
new chemicals.
I don't deal with it. I use mechanical methods or deal with the weeds. Anytime after you spray it, if it normally gets 85 during that time of year, avoid spraying it. It doesn't mean go out when it's 69 at 7 in the morning to spray it. If it's the time of year when it normally gets 85 or above, you can't use that product.
Yeah. And to be real technical about it, you have the half-life of the product, and all those half-lives are going to be more than 12 hours, more than 24 hours.
Generally
So,
3 days.
Yeah.
If
So
it's 85 degrees anytime within 3 days.
yeah. And I'd even consider if that week, if it's going to be hot, don't worry about it. Like, don't spray it. You should just avoid it and wait till, when it's cold. Because a lot of that stuff's going to die when it's cold anyway, and then you won't have to spray.
Yeah. So then the weed isn't actively growing. So then why?
Yeah.
Then you use a pre-emergent and
people will ask about a specific weed, and if it's a summertime weed, they call and they ask about it in October. And what do I spray
chamber bitter?
Like nothing.
Chamber bitter's gonna die
go
out.
away in a few weeks.
Right, that chamber bitter is that classic.
Yeah.
It's going to be there all summer, and people start calling about it. You're right, in October, and it's like, wait a couple weeks. It's already set seed. You didn't get it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they call about sand spurs in August and September. It's like, well, it's too late to do anything about it.
Because that's when the spurs are out. So that's
use
when
the
they
pre-emergent in February, so you won't have as many next year.
It's hard to tell sand spurs because it looks like grass until it puts up those evil.
Until you step on it in September and October.
Yes. And then they think sedges are sand spurs because they have those balls. No, those little balls don't hurt you with the sedges. They're, the sand spurs are going to have them. I'm sure Colby knows this, up in a straight line, not in an umbrella form that your sedges will have. Mm-hmm. I say Colby knows this because I know some native Floridians who would wait till they got really tall and pull them and use them like on whips on each other, children whips.
Yeah.
Now, the most important product to use truly is pre-emergent. And nobody likes pre-emergent because it doesn't kill anything. If you can see it, pre-emergent won't hurt it. Yeah. So how can you see something happen if all this does is stop the weed from being there? If there isn't anything, it must not have done anything. But if we use our super glyphosate 100% spray, we can see something happen, and they
want to see something die.
Yes. Yeah, and if 3% is recommended, God, 15% ought to really be good. And so
note to all listeners, Bernie is being sarcastic at this moment. Please do not follow his
absolutely. The fact that the manufacturer has spent thousands and millions of dollars to come up with the exact right formula to work as perfect as possible, and it's the safest working formula that they can give you. What do they know? It's men always know best, and if a little's good, a lot is better. Or even smarter is to follow what your wife would tell you, and that is follow the label. The label's the law, and I hate to admit it, but women are a lot smarter when it comes to those things. Women will read the instructions where a guy won't refer to them until all else has failed. So sorry, guys, but it's true.
And I think on that note, it's about time for us to go ahead and sign off and say goodbye for today. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be back again next week. I have no idea who's going to be with me, but I'll be here. I'll be around. So we'll go ahead and schedule virtual plant clinic for next Thursday at 10 a.m. And as long as Lily's not off at the fair eating Scrapple, maybe she'll come back and be with us. And Bernie may or may not be here next week, and hopefully Colby can join us too. So,
The
guys,
fair
thank
is
you so
not.
much
The
for joining
fair
us.
is not in Lancaster. There is no Scrapple there.
You guys have Scrapple. It's a Pennsylvania thing. You have
It's
Scrapple.
a Central and Eastern Pennsylvania thing.
Scrapple at a cold iron city.
That we have. I'm sure that is there.
Okay, well, thanks again, guys. We'll see you all again next week. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.